We're back on the Friends of Kevin radio show. I got Cheryl Klufio with us now. Cheryl is the founder and director of RightlySaid, Perfecting Communications to Build Your Brand. RightlySaid leverages strategic communications, quality content marketing, and high-impact PR to build your personal, destination, or corporate brand. Cheryl, good morning, and welcome to the Friends of Kevin radio show.
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So what does RightlySaid do, and why do you do it?
Well, RightlySaid is all about perfecting communication to build your brand. And starting with why, per Simon Sinek's philosophy, I founded RightlySaid because I really believe in people and their passions and places. And so RightlySaid really exists to make them successful. And, how and with what tools do we do that? Well, as you said, by leveraging strategic communication and quality content marketing and high-impact PR to build powerful personal destination and corporate brands.
I really love the idea because I see so many people, businesses struggle with communication and message where, you're checking out some of the things they got out there and it's all over the place, Cheryl. And You're like, I can't figure out, what message you're trying to give me. And if people can't figure it out, they might not do business with you. So let's talk a little bit about the categories of clients that you serve.
Well, we have three practices. So that's personal branding, destination branding, and corporate branding. Our personal branding practice focuses primarily on MBAs. So prospective MBAs, current MBAs seeking to get into business school or secure jobs, as the case may be. Yeah, and then our destination branding practice serves governments at the local and national level who are trying to attract and gain and retain investors and tourists. And then finally, our corporate branding practice caters mainly to startups and small businesses, as well as educational institutions and healthcare organizations. And it is, as you said, all about, helping people to stay on message in order to achieve their goals, among other things.
Sure, I'm fascinated by the personal side. I've never heard of anyone doing that. That's clever.
Well, yeah, there are a few people out there doing it, quite a few. It's gaining currency. And I think it's really because people are realizing, it's been a rocky few years for the global economy, and we haven't properly emerged from the travails of that. And, it's really resulted in a situation where there's cutthroat competition across the board. So if you want to snag your ideal job or gain admission to your ideal business school, you really need to be heads and shoulders above the competition. You really need to leave them really far behind. And, an effective way to do that is through honest and distinctive personal branding. And then likewise, if you're a country or a city looking to gain investors or tourists, you benefit from having a true and compelling brand that distinguishes you from your closest competitors.
So talk to me a little bit about the specific services that you offer to startups and small businesses.
Well, for startups and small businesses, we offer a whole suite of services. And it's actually a category that we're really excited, a category of clients, that we're really excited to work with because they are really at an exciting and fascinating stage of development. And so at that stage, it's really about catapulting them to the next level. And we do that by offering communications, content marketing, and PR strategy, media relations, social media initiatives, events PR, and that kind of thing. We also offer a range of writing, editorial, and public speaking services. And, those public speaking services would include media spokesperson coaching, leadership coaching, and that kind of thing.
I really like that a lot because a lot of people, when it comes to promoting their own business, especially the public speaking part of it, they really struggle. They get nervous. They go off message. So, that is a huge service to offer to people to help them, everything's got to be consistent, Cheryl. And that's the challenge that most businesses I interact with have, is that the voice isn't consistent when it comes to public speaking. They just don't do it. They would never think. Some businesses just ask them to come on the radio show, Cheryl.
Right.
They're like, Kev, I'd love to, but I'm going to schedule a root canal instead because I'd rather have a root canal than come on the show. So you're like, okay.
It's intimidating for a lot of people.
Sure, it really is.
But with the proper guidance, it's something that anyone can easily navigate. It's just about having the right coach by your side and having a proper strategy in place, of being well prepared, and then it's not quite so frightening or
absolutely,
as it would at first seem. And you know this, Kevin. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the branding for the destinations piece, because, like I said, we all get it, companies, especially startups, but, that's a little bit of a different piece too. Because obviously the competition is fierce. If you're a destination, you're trying to attract the same travelers that everyone else is. So obviously message is huge for them, correct?
Message is absolutely huge, and in that case, it's not just about consistency, but really about having a unique message, something that really conveys your USP, your unique selling proposition to potential tourists, to potential investors. And so, it's really, destination branding is, again, another field that's really gaining currency, because countries and cities and whole regions are realizing that in order to come out ahead, especially in the current economy, globally, they really need a distinctive and compelling brand. And, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not just something that occurs at a superficial level. It really is about making sure that you're making the right fixes, making the right amendments to who you actually are as a destination, so that you can accurately and genuinely say that you're shining in such and such an area.
I absolutely love that, because what I find a lot of places like that, they may have a big following on social media, but a lot of times it's people who already know about them, already been there. But it's getting to that proverbial next step, to getting out of your 20 mile away or 50 miles away from where you are, to attract people to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to, go to that place, although it's not, down the street from me, type of situation. A lot of places struggle with that.
You're absolutely right. And even within a state, if you take Florida, for example, it's hard for the different regions within the state to distinguish themselves from one another in the eyes of their target market.
Sure.
You know who you are, but it's all about how people perceive you. Now, if people don't know why they should go to Tampa Bay rather than Miami, for example, then you're in trouble. If it's all Florida to them, then you're not properly distinguishing your brand, and you're not properly communicating your message, and that actually will adversely impact you as a destination.
All right, Cheryl, so the big question is, how does RightlySaid apply branding strategy to solve a client's problem? Walk me through just a random example.
What I will say is that we have several strategies that we use. There are several approaches we use, and that's because everything we do is custom made to fit our clients. There are no cookie cutter solutions with us. What I can say is that all our strategies have three elements in common. So, what you'll find, no matter in every example that I could give you, what you'll find is that our first priority is to understand the client, and their target audience or audiences, or target market and markets, and their goals, crucially, and also to help refine those goals and offer any feedback concerning, problems with the goals and opportunities being missed and so forth. And then we'd assess the brand identity of the client in relation to their brand image, vis-a-vis those goals.
Now, Cheryl, I do have a question, sorry. Sometimes do you find that people often don't know who they're really targeting?
That is often a problem.
I've seen that all the time. It's like, but Cheryl, you haven't thought about this audience, which I think would be great. Yeah, you're right. Or, you get that, well, Cheryl, who's a great client for you? Kevin, anyone with a pulse. All right, Cheryl. So as I walk down the radio station here, there's 10 guys. I'll check with all of them, see if they need you. Not going to work, And I giggle too, because I hear that all the time. Oh, anyone with a pulse, Kev, that'd be great.
Right. It's ineffective, and it's a waste of resources at the same time. So you're not accomplishing your goals, and you're wasting resources just because you haven't properly thought about, whom you're targeting precisely and what their needs are, and how you can position yourself and your product or your service to fulfill those needs. So you're absolutely right about that, and it's an easy mistake to make. It's often the case that we're so excited about what we're doing that we assume everyone is going to feel the same. But the targeting is what really generates that response of reciprocal excitement and then adoption of a product or service and so forth.
So, Cheryl, one of the questions you must get is being a boutique consultancy, a smaller agency, is why should I go with RightlySaid versus maybe some of the competitors might be a little more larger than yourself for communications, content marketing, PR? Why you?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a great question, Kevin. And, what I'll say to that is there are no two ways about the fact that there are very many, PR and communications agencies, many of them large, who are doing good work, who are doing great work. The problem that clients often run into working with those larger agencies is that they, despite their best intentions, just by virtue of the sheer numbers, hordes of clients in some cases that they're dealing with, are not able to give the same genuine, dedicated, and top-notch service, that you would get with a company like RightlySaid. So we're not a PR factory or content marketing mill. We choose our clients as much as they choose us, and that's because we want to be able to give each client our all. So nobody gets lost in the shuffle, and nobody overpays because of huge overheads and the like.
Well, I really love that answer because for me, I'm guilty of calling people, and because I think I have a distinct voice, I just go, "Hey, Cheryl, what's going on?" And I expect you to know it's me. So when I call and I say, "Hey, it's Kevin," I don't want you to go, "Kevin from,"
Kevin who?
Right, yeah, I want to be able to just call him, go, "Hey, Cheryl," and you go, "Oh, hi, Kevin." Exactly. That's what makes me feel special.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the kind of service that our clients get with us. We on a first name basis with everyone. We know who you are. We know what your aspirations are. We know what you're working on because we're working on it together with you every step of the way. And it's, the values on which we operate really are connection, perfection, and integrity. And that connection bit is really about taking the time to listen to and understand you and your needs and your dreams and help you see new opportunities that you may have missed and help you maybe reconsider things that you're considering doing that may actually end up harming you down the line. And I think another advantage as well is that if you were to call us, Kevin, it would be a case of you working directly with me as part of your core team, and so that you would be able to benefit directly from my experience and expertise in the relevant areas. What you find with a lot of larger agencies is that, and this really frustrates clients to no end, is that you're pitched by a rock star team, and then when it's actually time to do the work on your project, it's a completely different team.
Yep.
Not the one you endorse, not the one that knows you, but a completely different team, and you don't get that with us. There's that very personal level of service. It's all about relationship, really, for us.
Now, Cheryl, can you tell me a little bit more about your background in communications, marketing, and PR, please?
Yeah, well, I have more than a decade of experience in those fields, both broad and deep. So, for example, I've led public and media relations at Harvard University's Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. And that included managing a rather challenging period of crisis communications and swiftly guiding the organization through that. This is when the economic recession hit. And also, I've planned and executed marketing initiatives for Microsoft Corporation. Then I've helped the founders of startups launch their companies, while also teaching CEOs of multinationals. And then I've worked with senior government officials, and it goes on. I'm, a writer, just first and foremost, and really very big in communication. So everything I've done has encapsulates that in some way.
That's nice. Now, do you have any international experience?
Yes, I do. And so my international experience actually spans 5 world regions. So I've lived, worked, and studied in North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. So, in fact, I got my MBA in France, Singapore, and China at INSEAD, which is one of the world's leading business schools. And I focused on marketing strategy and entrepreneurship. And, it's not, for me, really, it's not just about being fluent in several languages. French and Spanish are among the languages I speak. It's also about being fluent, in the culture and being able to communicate fluidly across contexts. Because that really is a huge determinant of whether you succeed or fail when you're entering a new market. And so, really the whole point of all this experience is that, yes, I've enjoyed many successes, but I've also learned some tough and useful lessons along the way so that you don't have to as my client. And working with me, you can get it right from the very start.
Cheryl, do you have any closing thoughts? We are coming to the end of the segment already.
What I'll say is, that whether you like it or not, you have a brand. Whether you realize it or not, you're constantly creating and cementing that brand through your spoken, written, and experiential stories. And, those are the stories that your words and actions convey to the customers and clients that you want to gain and keep, or the prospective investments and tourists that you want to choose your destination, or the schools or employers that you hope will offer you a position. So each and every one of us has a story and is telling it. The question is yours rightly said? We hope that your listeners will shoot us an email at consultant@rightlysaid.com or visit our website at www.rightlysaid.com and connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook, whichever you prefer, or both. Why not?
Right on. Cheryl, I really appreciate you taking the time to call into the show today, and as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you for having me, Kevin, and thanks for being mine.
You listen to Friends of Kevin Radio Show right on WSMN 1590 in Nashville and online at WSMNradio.com.